Good day, everybody. It's Andrew here. So, Bernie Sanders just did something that is a huge deal and will have a massive impact on the next stimulus package and whether or not we get checks for seniors in that package as well. So, let's discuss the details. But before we jump into it, do me a quick favor, hit like, hit subscribe, and share this channel with anyone who you think might find this helpful. This is a community for seniors, and my job here is to be a voice for you and be a voice for seniors to make sure President Biden keeps his promise to increase Social Security benefits, increase SSI and SSDI, and even approve a stimulus check for seniors in this next stimulus package. So thank you so much for being a part of our community. And if you really want to support my work, consider becoming a channel member. The link to that is going to be in the comments of this video. Once you click that link, you'll have to hit the join button on the middle of your screen, but that only works on desktop computers. You can't do it on your smartphone. So with that said, folks, let's jump right into it. Before we talk about what Bernie Sanders just did and how that's going to affect the next stimulus package, let's do a quick update on daily trending news. Now, one thing we've been hearing about lately is in my comments, I've had a lot of seniors say that unfortunately, with Social Security benefits being so low, I have a lot of seniors telling me that they're going back to work, even if it's just once a week or even once or twice a month, just to supplement their income just a little bit. Now, I know this is kind of a trigger topic for a lot of people because after paying into the Social Security system your whole life, working for 30, 40, 50 years, the last thing you should have to do is work in retirement. You paid into the system, you should get a benefit that's big enough to allow you to at least not live in poverty. Well, with that said, unfortunately, some folks are having to go back to work. So really quick, I just want to share this article from AARP showing the 6 best ways to find companies that are hiring retirees. Now, unfortunately, there's a lot of ageism out there where a lot of companies really try not to hire seniors. So AARP had a really good article discussing the 6 best ways to find companies that are hiring retirees. Now, I won't go through all of them because it's going to take too long, but one thing I want to point out is that AARP actually has an employer pledge list that includes over 1,000 companies that have signed a pledge with AARP, which states that they believe in equal opportunity for all workers, including seniors. They recognize the value of seniors because they are experienced workers, and they have vowed to recruit across age-diverse groups and consider applicants equally, regardless of age, and they believe that workers aged 50 plus should have a level playing field in competing for and obtaining jobs. So if you're interested in this, just search AARP Employer Pledge, and this list is going to pop up showing you a list of over 1,000 companies who have pledged to make sure they hire seniors to work for their workforce. So this is a good place to start. It includes a lot of companies with everything from like retail to white collar jobs to office jobs. So if you guys are out there looking for a little bit of part-time work, again, that's the last thing you should have to do. But in a time where we're still waiting for Biden to increase benefits, I thought this article would be helpful as it's a real problem out there that's a lot of companies don't want to hire seniors because of their age. Just thought I'd share this article. I hope it helps at least a few of you. Now, with that said, folks, let's jump into the stimulus update. What Bernie Sanders just did regarding the stimulus package and how this is going to affect negotiations, as well as the opportunity to have stimulus checks for seniors, whether it be in this next stimulus package or as a separate standalone bill. Now, all of this has to do with the filibuster, with negotiations basically at a standstill as Joe Manchin has stonewalled the Democratic Party. Chuck Schumer has moved on to say he's going to work on changing the filibuster rules, which would allow Democrats to do multiple smaller stimulus packages instead of having to do one giant budget reconciliation package, which is even harder to negotiate on. So the idea here is instead of doing one giant package with a million things in it, do multiple smaller packages, which are easier to negotiate on, right? When you take most of the stuff out, you cut the fat, it's easier to get Democrats like Joe Manchin on board, at least for a smaller package, and then the idea would be to do multiple smaller packages throughout the year to get as much done as possible. Hopefully one of those packages would include a stimulus check for seniors. So, by changing the filibuster rule, this would allow Democrats to do more legislation with the requirement of only 51 votes, allowing them to bypass the filibuster without needing 60 votes, which is the current threshold with most legislation. This is why the budget reconciliation package is so powerful, because it allows them to bypass the 60 vote threshold, but they're only allowed to do that once or twice a year. So Chuck Schumer is saying he wants to change the filibuster rule, which would allow them to do multiple smaller packages with only 51 votes, basically allowing them to bypass the filibuster multiple times throughout the year. Now, he's focusing on voting rights, but experts think that this change would be extended to other things like stimulus, potentially Social Security benefits. So we could end up in a situation where we have Democrats doing a standalone bill for a check for seniors. Remember, Bernie Sanders wants to do at least $1,000 for seniors, potentially even $2,000. It could even have a standalone bill for Social Security benefit increases. Of course, something President Biden promised. Not to mention they could do standalone bills on SSI and ssdi, things of that nature, folks. The possibilities would be endless, and all of these smaller packages could be passed with a simple majority of 51 votes and be a lot easier to negotiate on, because you wouldn't have this mammoth budget reconciliation bill with a million things in it that makes it even harder to negotiate on, if that kind of makes sense. The smaller the package, the easier it is to negotiate. But unfortunately, because Democrats can only use budget reconciliation once or twice a year, they end up having to put everything in that package, and then nothing gets done because they can't compromise on all the details. So what the heck did Bernie Sanders just do, and why is this such a huge deal, and why is it good for seniors? Well, Sanders turned up the heat on Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema with a tweet on the voting rights bill. Now, they're expected to try and debate this today, so we'll see what happens with that. I should have an update on that tomorrow. Chuck Schumer has pledged to bring this to a debate today and try and bring it to a vote this week. But Bernie Sanders was on Twitter putting pressure on Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, and he said that as the voting rights bill finally comes to the floor of the Senate today, there is only one vote which really will matter. Will 50 Democrats vote to override the filibuster, protect American democracy, and pass the bill, or will Manchin and Sinema vote with the Republicans and let the bill die? Bernie Sanders has basically gone on a massive crusade the last few months, slamming Sinema and slamming Manchin, trying to get them on board to approve a stimulus check for seniors, approve the stimulus package at whole, which of course we know has been met with a strong resistance from both of them, especially Joe Manchin. So this tweet by Bernie Sanders just goes to show that Bernie's not giving up. He continues to fight for seniors. He continues to fight for the American people. And whether or not you agree with the voting law changes, I think we could agree that by changing the filibuster rules, this is going to set things in motion to get other things done as well. Voting rights is just the current focus of what Democrats are using as the reason to change the filibuster, but experts agree that once these changes are made, it's going to open up the door and put us down a path where Democrats will do multiple smaller packages. Again, it could be a stimulus check for seniors, it could be Social Security and SSI and SSDI changes. All of these things would be a much bigger possibility once the filibuster is changed. And Bernie is holding an all-out campaign, full throttle, slamming Manchin and slamming Kyrsten Sinema, trying to put as much pressure as possible on both of these folks to make sure this gets done and we get stimulus done for seniors in this country. Now, by turning the heat up on Manchin and Sinema, everyone's wondering, is it going to work? Is this actually going to happen? Or is it just going to be another situation where they keep saying no and basically nothing gets done, and all we end up getting out of Biden's presidency is the American Rescue Plan and then the physical stimulus plan, which got passed a few months ago? Now, quite honestly, I'll tell you, that's a genuine possibility. But what I think is a possibility as well is that Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema could make the political calculation that by changing the filibuster rule, yes, it's going to hurt them in their home states. It's going to hurt Sinema in Arizona, and it's going to hurt Joe Manchin in West Virginia. But sometimes it's possible to make the political calculation to take a couple of steps back in your home state. Maybe they take a hit by a couple of percentage points in their state, but long term, once all these things get passed, once seniors get stimulus checks in their home state, Arizona and West Virginia both have a massive senior population. And if these folks get stimulus checks, they're going to know that Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin helped Democrats approve those checks. If we get an increase in Social Security benefits, at this point, everyone's going to know that got done with the help of Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin. So, although initially they would take a hit in their respective home states if they help Democrats change the filibuster rule, what we're hoping is that long term they can make the calculation, the political calculation, that the end point here, by giving seniors stimulus checks and improving Social Security benefits, as well as all the other stimulus initiatives in this package, that long term they can make the calculation that this will actually help them, right? Families with kids getting stimulus checks are going to be happy that Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema voted for this. Seniors getting stimulus checks, and those who are disabled getting larger checks and getting stimulus checks as well for SSI and SSDI. That's going to help Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema long term. So we're essentially hoping that this is the calculation that both of those senators will make, Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin. And at the same time, it's such a huge deal that Bernie Sanders is not giving up. In a time, well, I'll be honest, folks, it's been tough. I'm on here every day doing the research, advocating for seniors, advocating for those who are disabled, and I'll be honest with you, it's an emotional roller coaster for me as well. I get invested in this. I'm fighting for seniors, and I truly believe that seniors and those who are disabled don't have a voice. And I truly feel passionate about what we're doing here. And like I've said before, this is a passion that I developed from living with my grandparents, from working in senior living facilities. I've worked in senior living facilities. I lived with my grandparents half my life, so this is something I'm passionate about, and this is something I get emotionally invested in, and it's tough. I am right there with you folks to see the fact that it's almost like sometimes you want to give up hope. So then when we see Bernie Sanders continue to fight, continue to put pressure on Democrats, especially Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin, it's a huge deal, folks. And it's not just a huge deal for Congress, it's a huge deal for us, because as much as I say that my job here is to be a voice for you, really, our biggest voice in this country is Bernie Sanders. He's always fought for Social Security. He's always fought for SSI and SSDI. He continues to fight for stimulus checks and an increase in benefits. So to see that Bernie Sanders isn't giving up is such a testament to our voice. And quite frankly, when you think about the fact that all the resistance Bernie Sanders has had for the last 30, 40 years he's been in politics, to keep fighting and keep pushing, no matter how difficult things get. Then when you look back and you see how far Bernie Sanders has come, how far his movement has developed over the last 20, 30, 40 years, and to see that over all those years he never gave up, it's truly inspiring, and it gives me the inspiration to keep fighting for you as well. So folks, it's a huge deal, and although we still have a long ways to go, we're going to continue to fight. And with Chuck Schumer saying that he's going to bring this to a vote in the next few days, we should have a lot of updates on the filibuster changes. So don't forget to subscribe, and I will keep you posted as things develop. If you guys would like to stick around, I'm going to end this video with a quick update on the stock market. Now, I usually give updates on what's happening in Congress, but the news is a little bit slow right now. And one thing I'm focusing on my second channel is really focusing on things like building wealth, how to invest in stocks, how to invest in cryptocurrency, things like that that could help you above and beyond Social Security. So if you'd like to stick around, I'm going to be talking about something called Coinbase. Now, if you've heard of cryptocurrency, things like Bitcoin, these things are extremely speculative, extremely risky, but have an extremely high reward. If you had put just $1,000 in Bitcoin about 10 years ago, you would have been a multimillionaire at this point. Now, it's hard to catch the unicorns, and hindsight is 2020, of course. So the last thing I would tell you is to go put $1,000 in some random cryptocurrency, especially for seniors. When you're in such a later stage in your investment life, you should really be focusing on things that are safe, but at the same time, sometimes you want to look for opportunities that have a high reward, but are relatively safe as well. Also, quick disclaimer, this isn't investment advice. This is just for entertainment purposes only, but in my opinion, Coinbase is something that is really a huge opportunity at the moment. Now, Coinbase is basically an exchange where you can buy and sell cryptocurrency, and they're a publicly traded company, meaning you can buy their stock. Now, currently they're trading at about $230 per share, but some experts think that in just a few years, they're going to 10x in price, meaning if you put $10,000 or $1,000, you could end up with $10,000 or $100,000 in just a couple of years. It's a completely legitimate American company, and as this company matures and as the cryptocurrency market matures as a whole, they're expected to diversify their income streams, and they're really going to build out the ecosystem globally of the cryptocurrency market. So they make money when people buy and sell cryptocurrencies, and they're expected to diversify their income streams by doing other things in the digital currency space. This is going to include things like facilitating payments, like paying with Bitcoin when you go to the store, and they would get a slice of that processing fee. Things like selling NFTs, which are digital art. All of these things can be a little confusing to wrap your head around, but this is a massive space that's growing, and we have to keep our eye on this space. So, to end this video, I'm going to leave you with a clip describing exactly why a lot of experts think Coinbase is going to be such a good investment. And again, let me know in the comments if you'd like to have more information regarding stocks, cryptocurrency, and really building your own wealth in retirement. So with that said, folks, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to leave you with this clip. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you on the next video.
Jason, it's great to have you. You talk a bit about subscription revenue becoming a bigger piece of the pie, but overall, walk us through the thesis.
Well, thanks, Carl. Multifaceted thesis here. First off, you're absolutely right on the revenue diversification point. When we look at the percentage of revenue coming from non-retail crypto trading, that number was about 4% of total revenue in 2020. We forecast that goes to about 16% of total revenue in 2023. And there's a number of different initiatives that all fall under the general category of subscription and services revenue that we think are going to fuel that growth. One to watch in 2022 would be the emergence of Coinbase's new NFT marketplace, just as an example. And then second, we would also point to the underperformance of the stock over the last 2 or 3 months. We felt that that created a more attractive risk-reward setup, and hence the upgrade to buy.
Now, you say that the catalyst could drive more interest among institutional investors. How likely is that, given sort of the regulatory uncertainty, which you point out, and also just the sheer drop in the price of crypto?
So a couple of points on the institutional side. The first, in terms of what it means for Coinbase's business, if you look at the mix of trading volume that Coinbase is seeing on its platform, it has tilted decidedly in the favor of institutions already. In fact, they were just over 70% of Coinbase's trading volume last quarter. Now, naturally, the spreads that they earn on that volume are far lower than on the retail side, but nonetheless, you are seeing an increase in a level of interest among institutional investors in owning crypto as an asset. And then the other point we made in the note on the institutional side is simply in terms of the potential for institutional investors, as opposed to retail investors, buying stock in Coinbase. We believe that if there are increasing signs of revenue diversification and people are more interested in having exposure to the crypto economy, this is a great single stock way to play that theme and own a very strong management team and a large cap liquid name as well.
Jason, you point to the NFT platform as kind of diversification away from crypto trading. Here's my concern about NFTs. I believe in NFTs as sort of digital paperwork and an authentication method down the line, but I also have a feeling a lot of the NFT action we see in the market right now is trash, right? So in the future, if that platform is going to be any kind of a balancing or hedge against declining crypto volume, don't they have to do some kinds of deals with partners that have assets that are likely to be backed by NFTs in some way to avoid getting caught up in a potential collapse of some of the stuff that's getting NFT'd to death right now and won't be worth much in the future?
Yes, I think now the first thing I would say is you will hear more details on the NFT platform strategy as we go through 2022. They have started a wait list for consumers to sign up for this, but some of the details are still to be confirmed. We do think that, certainly partnerships are important here. And I think what you'll see evolve is kind of a what I'll call an NFT agnostic type model, where Coinbase will be essentially agnostic as to which types of NFTs, consumers are interested in. They will want to cast a wide net. I think, to your point, ultimately you'll see kind of the wheat separate from the chaff here. And there will be other areas of revenue diversification beyond NFTs as well. You've already seen some signs of traction as it relates to custodial services and staking and other types of services that will probably extend into the world of DeFi over time as well. So I think there'll be a multifaceted approach to revenue diversification. And that's going to take, that'll be measured certainly in years rather than quarters.